Welcome back. I'm back. I'm in a good mood. Just noticed the beard in the camera. So for those of you who said I can't grow a beard, eat that. Anyways, this is the first video I'm recording in the month of Ramadan, in the month of Lent. And for those of you commemorating Ramadan Kareem, and for those of you who are observing Lent, I hope the month goes well for you. In keeping with that theme, we are now filled with so much resources all around us on all the social media platforms. We see all the different Ramadan content, and I don't know how it is on the Christian side of things, but we now have more than ever to inspire us, to get us spiritual, to get us motivated, to get us going. And so what a skill is that we have to sort through this information. And this is not what the topic is about today, but this is an issue that happens when we get all this information. But another issue that we don't actually see is that our hearts will often misguide us. And this is a very difficult topic to explain because it is such an emotional one. Because it's something we attach a lot of feeling to and identity to. And so I'm going to try and explain this in the best way possible. So we often guide with our heart, and this has brought us an immense amount of positivity. For example, in Islam, no one will go close to a drip of alcohol. No one will go close to having a single sip. And every time Ramadan kicks in, these same people will also fast. No matter what kind of a Muslim you are, bad or good. This is like a general truth. And it's a nuance. It's a miracle. How is this still possible for such a large group of people? At the same time, though, it is taking us to places that we shouldn't be. And we don't see it because our hearts deceive us. And this concept is very much spoken about in the Quran. Over all the content we watch, all the YouTube videos, nothing is better than reading a page of the Holy Quran and its meaning. Just know that. We all agree on that. And the Quran has taught us, as opposed to Christianity, and I'm sorry my Christians out there, I'm not critiquing religion, there's still value in your religion. But we are not supposed to be led with our heart. We have been given a brain. We've heard this. We've been given an aql to guide us, to make the right decisions, and then follow with the heart. We are supposed to lead with our head and follow with the heart. The heart is a very powerful tool. But if we lead with our heart, it can take us astray and we won't even notice it. So this issue is bigger than something I can cover in a 10-minute video, but one aspect of this is motivation. In this month, we are all motivated to become better people, to do the things that we need to do, to make the change, to become better. And we are often reminded of why we should do it by our hunger, by our thirst. And so, what's wrong with motivation? Well, motivation as an emotion is high in valence. Anytime you felt motivated, it is because it was, every time you felt motivated, you can tell that you were very active. It was a very conscientious emotion. It's high in valence, like I said. If you are conscientious of the feeling, okay. The point I'm trying to make is that motivation is a very conscious feeling. You will feel it very strongly, but within 5 minutes, a little bit of time later, you will lose that motivation, because motivation gives us, like when we say we are motivated by something, we are motivated to do something. To do something. That's the key word. You are not motivated in doing something, right? You are motivated to do something. So while you're doing the thing, you're not like extremely motivated. You can be for a short amount of time, but it doesn't last. Like if you're motivated to win a game of chess. Chess is a terrible example. If you're motivated to win a game of basketball, you at the start of the game and be like, let's go, I'm going to win. And then while you're playing, you're not going to be like, I'm going to win. No, you have to focus, right? Because motivation isn't like this feeling that is actually going to help us do something or help us in doing something. So we need to focus while we are doing the thing. But motivation is that thing to get us going. The problem is with motivation is that if we rely on it to get us going, when it is gone, when the feeling of motivation is gone, everything that we thought we had is also gone. For example, if you think of a person who listens to motivational videos or motivational songs all the time. He gets going, he's like, yeah, let's go, hits that good set in the gym, whatever. Then when he's done, he moves on. right? But if you took away his music, you send him to the gym, he's going to be like, shoot, how do I push to failure? He's going to be all stuck, right? And so this concept applies to Ramadan because we are constantly motivated by the month in and of itself, the strength of it. And so we tell ourselves, like, okay, I'm gonna get going, right? It motivates us. The time we see everyone around us, everything motivates us to get going. Then we get motivated, we do the thing, and get motivated, do the thing. However, what we find is like 2-3 months after Ramadan, 80% of the things we developed, 80% of the good habits disappear. 20% may remain. That 20% is amazing, and that is one of the great benefits of Ramadan. No matter how much work you put in, you'll at least retain something. But how do we get that 100% locked in? Is if we remove this feeling of motivation, or not remove it, but we instead approach things with inspiration. If you feel inspired by something. Now, before I get into that, actually, motivation is something that is important regardless, right? If you are unmotivated, your life is bad. So to have motivation is a solid thing. Let me get that straight. I'm not saying motivation is bad. Motivation is important, but it should not be what we depend on. And so the answer to replace it is not actually discipline. Some people might say it's discipline, but I'm here to introduce a new thing. It is inspiration. So the problem we saw with motivation is that it isn't very active, right? It isn't long lasting. It is a quick burst and it's gone. Inspiration is a longer endured feeling. If you are inspired by a basketball player, you're watching a basketball player play and you're inspired by what he does, you want to replicate his techniques, you will use those techniques and you will hope that it gets you to become better. So that inspiration is deeper, it is longer lasting. It is not just while we are doing the action, it's in every time we do the action. Every time we play basketball, I want to be like Jordan. I'm going to use his techniques. And so this feeling of inspiration requires one thing though. We need to have something that we trust. Because if we're going to follow something blindly, right? If we're going to follow, not blindly, but if we're going to follow something through and true for a long period of time, and it's going to be long endured, you have to trust that it's going to take you in the right position, the right place. So if I'm going to trust that Jordan is going to make me a good basketball player, I have to see that he is successful. I have to put an immense amount of trust in him. You might be able to see where this is going. If you put your inspiration, if you instead viewed inspiration as the key driver, and what are you supposed to be inspired by? God, right? It's a tough thing to do, and it's a tough thing to say even, to be inspired by God. And this feeling of inspiration isn't necessarily talked about that much. But like I said, we have to trust that thing. So if you trust God and you put your inspiration in God and put your faith in God, right? This is something we've been told all the time in Islam. What does that mean? How do we do that? Because God isn't like Jordan, right? You can't see the way God plays sports and like all this kind of stuff. I really want you to grasp this point. It's very important. Inspiration. Trust Jordan and become a good basketball player, right? To trust God, you have to slow down. You have to stop. You have to think. You have to be aware. Where is God? You have to see God every day in your life. You have to find God. Very talked about, but not really digested and properly sorted through issue. If you trust God and you... Alright. It's not about the content. I'm going to be real. It's not about all the content we have on our phones. This is the real talk. All the time we have these things on our phones. We want to get motivated by them. Stop. Motivation is not this thing that you want. Remove it all. Remove all the noise and find the inspiration. Find truth. Find what you can trust. Do you see how this is all aligning? You're smart enough to put the pieces together, but we haven't been smart enough to take a step back and look at the big picture. We have too many things in our life telling us to do this, do this, do this. Ignore it all. And it's definitely the hardest thing, and something that we don't talk about because it is the hardest thing. You have to remove all the other things. If you want to be inspired by Jordan, you can't also be inspired by Kobe and LeBron and Shaq, right? You can't be inspired by all these guys at the same time, because then if you are, you're inspired by good basketball players. Okay, so what do good basketball players do? So this point now is that when you're inspired by something, it's a unity. It's one solid idea. You can't be inspired by multiple ideas at once, right? I can't be inspired by LeBron whilst being inspired by Jordan. You're inspired by one of them. You have your favorite player that inspires you, that makes you happy. The same concept applies. And if you want to be inspired by a team, you can be inspired by a team. So you like what the team does, how the team plays. So when you think about your team and how your team plays, you want it to resemble that. So inspiration is this very isolated thing. It's one. You can put inspiration in one thing. And so that means you have to remove all of the things that you could possibly be inspired by. And that's what this month is about. Removing the food, removing the water, removing all these excess noises so that we can focus and put our inspiration in God. Put our trust and faith that He will take us to where we need to be. Like I said, it doesn't sound difficult, but it's similar to my last video in that if you get the concept, it is very powerful. Even in your lowest of lows, if you are inspired by something, it'll pull you out. Motivation is so tough. You'll be sat there hours on your phone, and then you'll get off your phone and be like, oh, it's Ramadan. I'm supposed to be motivated. And you get motivated and you do good things. And like I said, you'll keep that 20% a few months down the line, but that's not important. That's not good enough. If you want the true success, you can't just sit on your phone. You have to feel inspired. Never pick up the phone. Why should you pick up the phone? What's in the phone? Remove all the things you don't need. All the content, really be critical. Is this something that's going to inspire me, or is this just some quick random motivation that's just there for my heart BS? Right? Don't lead with your heart, lead with your head. Then follow with your heart. Lead with your head, follow with your heart. That's all I have for you today. I really hope this helps. Good luck. Take care.